Welcome to Against Medical Advice. I'm your host, Jimmy Diamond. The identity and location of the following recording has been changed to protect the anonymity and confidentiality of the clients. The views and opinions of speaker do not directly reflect those of the podcast. The following is a live recording of real people struggling with addiction and trying to seek recovery. This is for educational purposes only. We hope you enjoy. Let's begin. Last week we said, how many people do we know as throughout our entire life? Like, how many people have you met your entire life? We said hundreds of thousands. Just literally, just pass by, whatever. Of those hundreds of thousands of people you have met, how many do you really care about? That's how you start prioritizing, right? And then it's like, okay, I have all these handful. And you can do that with people, and you can do that with objects, and you can do that with ideas. And this is what we did last week. We went through all the objects. What objects are important to you, right? We were talking about car, keys, wallet, phone. We had a huge discussion about the phone last week and the relationship with the phone. And then you talk about which are important, how some are important, and you don't even have relationships with them. Like, you have to have a relationship with the DMV, we'll say, once a year or whatever, to register your car. It's an important not your most important relationship, but it's an important relationship. And if you don't focus on that relationship, you have problems. Not the court system, not my mom or my fiance or whatever, to bless you. I have a problem, right? And the other idea is concepts, ideas. Not even tangible things. These aren't even tangible things. These are just ideas in my head. Which ones do I have a relationship with? How many ideas have I had a relationship with my entire life? Which ones do I fuck with the most? Are they good ones? Are they bad ones? This is where my moral compass comes in, right? Is it good for me to think these thoughts? Are these good thoughts to have a relationship with? And we also talked about, what does it take to have a healthy relationship? Anybody remember some of those answers? Communication, trust, honesty, loyalty. So think about my relationship with ideas. Am I communicating with them? Do I trust these negative thoughts? Is it right for me to trust these negative thoughts? Is it right for me to communicate these thoughts? Oh. You know what I mean? Is it the time or place to communicate these? And you see some people have a strong understanding of what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, and drugs and alcohol remove their ability to defend those morals. So I no longer have the ability to prioritize people in my life because the drugs and alcohol are removing me from that.
Like mine, ultimately.
Yeah, literally. Okay. Yes. And that's, and I'll tell you, that is as a result of repeated high exposure to those things. Like people, objects, or concepts. And imagine a combination of them. Look at a trap house, dude. You got people, objects, and ideas about using just flowing around. It's not a good place to be. If you're trying to not get high. Yes.
I know we talked about the relationship with people, object, and concepts, but what about relationship with ourselves? Is that the same thing as people, object, and concepts? Other people?
Yeah. What, ourselves?
Yeah, you. Others trust. All of them have to have that, right?
Yes, and I think people, we can open this discussion if we want, but I think that this is where the idea if you can't have that relationship with yourself, you're in no place to have that relationship with someone else. If you can't trust yourself, you can't communicate with yourself, you don't have a relationship with the person you used to be, the person you're gonna be, if you don't have a relationship with your moods, how you feel them, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, how to communicate your moods, how to communicate your feelings, what ideas, like if we're in a relationship and you're closed-minded to marriage, that's an idea, that's a concept. That if you're kids, right, if you're closed-minded to that, that may alter the entire relationship. I can't be connected with you this way if we're not connected in this way. So if I'm not connected with myself this way, how am I going to be connected with somebody else that way? It might confuse me. And not only that, but I may not actually know how to prioritize my own. So I start prioritizing yours and not focusing on mine. And this is what you see in early recovery. This is why they say maybe stay sober for a year before you start getting into a relationship. Because say we're in a relationship and you have a bad day and I have things I got to do, but I'm sacrificing what I have to do for your bad day to make sure you're in a good mood and this and that. So now I may not even understand what I need, you know? Not saying that you can't do those things, but if you don't know what you need, you know what I mean? If there's not an ability to balance that and communicate, then it's difficult. And I'll tell you, like, both people need to be on board. And it doesn't have to be, like, immediate results, you know? But, like, if you're not on board with you, then who's going to be on board with us, dude? You know? Go ahead.
I was going to say the same thing that you said about the taking the time. Because what I remember is that they, some of the people at Mount Sinai, they said that, you know, they basically put up a chart, or they gave out a paper that said how long it usually takes for your brain to heal. And that's why you shouldn't be jumping into relationships. You should be making major decisions because your brain hasn't healed yet, you know, from all the drug use that you've done. You've done so much, you know, damage to your brain that it's going to take 6 months, a year, 2 years for stimulants is what I understand, you know.
And I that makes sense because if I don't know how to regulate my own emotions and I'm trying to regulate someone else's emotions, my emotions are already out of control. What makes me think I'm going to control your emotions? You know what I mean? What?
Codependency.
And I'm going to try to manage your emotions on a foundation of poor emotional manageability. And now introduce drugs and alcohol. Now introduce drugs and alcohol. What is the point of even talking about the emotions? Why even? And we both really don't want to talk about it. Why not just, you know, use? Mm-hmm. I mean, that may be, for people who have a strong relationship with drugs and alcohol, that may be an answer. Versus someone who has a strong relationship with exercise. A strong relationship with, like, themselves and knowing their abilities and knowing their inabilities. You know, it's just, when the options are open, there's just more options. That's it. But what addiction does is it narrows things that bring us pleasure. So first we have all these things that bring us pleasure, all these things that are awesome, and you may see a relationship starting on a foundation of that, where even like your own, like this, the whole discussion started because BK said something about like our own, like a relationship with self, right? Imagine you're on a journey learning about you, engaging in activities like exercise and group therapy and individual therapy and all of this, and you introduce like a emotion altering substance, a mind altering substance. Is there an impact from that? Mm-hmm. For anyone? Like not just addicts, let's just say not just addicts, like anyone.
Yeah, I believe so.
What might happen?
You start focusing on the drug more than focusing on getting yourself better.
Why is that?
That's a good question.
I love my girl, but she can't make me feel like I'm on heroin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because again, drugs are mind altering. Your girl isn't mind altering. She might be emotionally, altering. You feel better after but that's about it.
You're seeing now. You're really seeing the insidious, deep power that drugs and alcohol has over anything else, dude. You know what I mean? And back in the day, when we were like, I don't know, fucking cavemen or some shit, that feeling was what we seeked. Until people like chewed on a plant and they were like, yo, get the fuck over here, chew on this, dude. Everybody started chewing on plants, dude, and they were no longer worried about banging. They were making huts and fucking doing all this crazy shit, dude, you know? Coming on these new revolutions. Okay, so that is basically the idea. So now we're seeing that drugs and alcohol get in the way of a healthy relationship with people, objects, and concepts, okay? So you have these relationships, even if you're able to prioritize them, you know which ones are important. You don't let objects get in your way, so you're not, worshiping a phone or anything like that, a TV. No ideas really are over you. You're very open-minded, things of that nature. Introduce a drug or alcohol, and your ability to manage those becomes distorted. That's from 1, right? That's from 1. What about 10? And then what about 10 every day for a week, for a month, for a year, for 5 years, for 10 years?
Your life becomes centered around it.
So what happens to the other relationships that I once prioritized, the other objects that I once had a relationship with? What happens to them?
They fade. Yeah.
Lower and lower down the list.
Why?
I'm sure everyone in here can say that they had a lot of things they used to like to do before they found drugs.
Because the drug and alcohol give you more dopamine than the other ones.
Do you think that after like a period of time, we'll say 10 years of doing that, it may be scary for someone to try new things?
Yeah, let go.
The answer is trying new things, though. And those new things don't necessarily need to be new things. They could be old things you do. You just have to do them sober. And that is new. Mm-hmm. Like the making music the other day, right? Mm-hmm. Some people have never made music sober, dude. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And like, it's okay to make music. You just have to learn how to make music sober, dude. You have to go to work. We just have to learn how to go to work sober. It's like this type of idea and having a relationship with that. And the relationship, think about this. Now we're getting back into the ideas. What does the idea of having a relationship with sobriety sound like to me? How does that make me feel? Because you got to remember, the whole reason we're talking about relationships is because they have a direct impact on what? Our emotions. Our natural instinctive states of mind. Deriving from circumstances, moods, and relationships. Natural.
I was going to say, Jim, that, just like having, like you were saying, it makes it hard to try new things, to create new relationships, because, when we were on drugs, you couldn't concentrate on them. I mean, we had lost all the passion for all the old relationships, and now we're trying to reintroduce new relationships, if you're in active addiction, you're not really tuned into trying stuff new. You might try it, you know, but it only sticks for a few minutes, you know, a week or two. You know, it's hard to try to, you know, go to AA or come classes or do anything if you're still in active addiction.
I agree.
Yeah, you have to be separated from it. Then it's still hard.
It is hard, dude. It is, you know.
That's why I think that this doesn't stick for some people because drugs have messed up your relationships, the ability to have a relationship so bad that you can't relate to being in a class like this or having
Now you're going deep. That's what I'm talking about, right? Now you may see someone, dude, and I see this, dude. I've worked with thousands of people, bro. And I'm not talking the lower end of that number. And you see people who have sat in a trailer, in an apartment, in a garage, wherever, dude, in a fucking mansion.
Yep.
Drinking by themselves, not talking to people. You know, what happens to someone who sits in a jail cell separated from the community for 10 years? Give them a fucking bottle, they'll do that for days. They don't give a shit. They'll do that for the rest of their life. But you leave them alone with just their mind, they go insane. You give them alcohol, you give them drugs, they're still going to go insane. They're just going to have a great fucking time doing it. You know what I mean? And it's like, and you know what happens is, to get out of that needs some serious, reintegration. How do people get reintegrated back into society after that, dude? That ain't an easy reintegration, and it requires massive amounts of humility. It requires intense understanding of my own impact on the community and relationships to and if I'm in that institution focused on getting high, I'm not going to be focused on anything else, dude. You see what I'm saying? And if you don't think about this type of shit, they will put you in jail to think about it. Think about what you've done. You drank and drive? Think about what you've done. It's like adult timeout, dude. Until you learn your lesson. Did you learn your lesson yet? Nope. Yes.
Actually, a year ago today, I woke up in a house I had no clue where I was at, with vomit all over me and weed all the way down my sleeve because I just got crossed and threw up so much. I had the idea oh, I got this. I can do this all by myself. I don't need anybody's help with my drinking. Blacked out, ruined friendships, relationships that I can't get back from doing that. I had the idea that I could do this all on my own. It didn't really fucking matter who I hurt in the process. Those relationships were fucking blown up. And I tried to go to my friend's birthday, threw up all over in this restaurant, the bathroom, everywhere, came back I was fine, and everybody was you look fucked up. So I get the relationship part of hurting everybody because of your use. So I'm thankful to be here today.
Are you, how old are you?
I'm 20.
Here's another concept I want to present to you, right? Anybody over the age of 25? Raise your hand if you're over the age of 25.
Thanks for pointing that out.
No, wait, hold on.
Just
That's not the concept. The concept is not in comparison. The concept and the idea I'm trying to present to you is... The concept and idea I'm trying to present to you is literally using before the age of 25. Mm-hmm. Bro, you don't get this. Mm-hmm. You will never understand this until you're fucking 30 or you're 25. That your brain is still developing, yeah. Dude. And what happens to someone who spends the ages of teenage years to 25 developing ideas, developing relationships, some of the most important ones in their entire lives, and they're focused around drugs.
Yep.
They're focused around using. They're focused around chasing tail, doing this and that. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, you're not learning the things you're supposed to be learning that society needs you to learn. And the longer you go away from that, the harder it is to pick up the pieces and get it back together. And if I have any type of resentment and fear and shame and bitterness towards that concept, I have problems because that's the way it works in the world. You know, some people have this distorted idea that like smoking's not as bad. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is, and they're paranoid as hell.
Dude, or like they have this like poor relationship with their body. Just the idea of like, what do bodies do? You know what I mean? What does a kidney do? What happens when I like drink alcohol? Why do I need water? You know what I mean? Is this bad what I'm eating? Some people now, they just don't have that relationship because they've never been exposed to it. They've never been confronted about it. And you're talking about some ideas that have been planted into them that they just run with.
You know what, I always, whenever I see someone get married, I always, try to pull the bride aside and tell her, and I tell the groom the same thing, whoever you're getting in a relationship with right now, that's who you're marrying. You know what I'm saying? Don't expect when you start changing for that person to start changing. Because they're going to be who they are until they're ready to change. And so, that, like you said, the stuff that we learn all the way up through 25, while our brain is making these relationships, and that's what I try to warn everybody about. I be like, don't, when you change, they won't change unless they're ready to.
Going back to, I need to have a relationship with myself. And it goes back to like you're saying, it's hard, dude. Having that relationship with myself is hard. It's difficult. But I think that is the right hard, not the wrong hard. The wrong hard might be like drinking alcohol and getting high and running away from it, dude. And that, like, either way, it's going to be hard. What are my morals around things that are difficult? Do I confront them and say, fuck that, I'm going to do it? Or do I say, nah, that's too tough. That ain't for me.
Yeah.
This is where character defects start to develop. You hearing this? This is where character starts to change. And people are like, nah, man, that ain't for me. Nah, and dude, there you go. The lack of broadening things that bring you pleasure. The closed-mindedness preventing us from building relationships with who knows what might fucking help us stay sober. Nah, that ain't for me. I don't dance. Nope. Nah, that ain't for me. I don't go to rehab. I don't do that. Nope. No, 12-step meetings, bro, it's too hard, bro. I ain't doing that. Okay, what kind of character develops from someone who does that? You know what I mean? What kind of morals develop from someone who has something they have to do and they don't fucking do it? Especially when it's health related. Mental health related. And do I have, like, what kind of emotions arise from me in a relationship with things that are difficult? So when I'm confronted with something that's difficult, do I get nervous? Do I get stressed? Do I get humiliated? Do I get embarrassed? Do I get like scared, happy, bitter? Like what? These are, and who does that to me? Are there people in my life that I think that having a relationship with this person is hard? Having a relationship, a healthy relationship with like a TV or like an exercise equipment, like that's hard. It's hard to have that relationship. It's hard to have a relationship with the idea that I'm worthy of being loved. It's hard to have a relationship with the idea that I'm a good fucking person. Well, how much time have you spent in that relationship? How much effort do you put in maintaining that relationship? Are you developing that relationship, or are you going outside and looking for people who tell you that about you? Dude, these are important things, and what you're seeing is literally the fourth step being brought all the way down to the first step. It's like, yo, we have a problem, and it has to be fixed. And the only way to fix it is to try to figure out what these patterns are. Where has drugs distorted my idea of like what is a healthy relationship? Where has alcohol maybe distorted? And it's not just drugs and alcohol. It could be the people that I associated with from drugs and alcohol. It could be the objects that I have a relationship with. Not just the phone, maybe the YouTube pages or the fucking Instagram pages you follow. Yes, and then yes.
I mean, if you look at it from like a basic evolutionary standpoint or human standpoint, what's the most basic thing that we desire? It's the desire to stay alive, or it should be. But then you think about drugs and alcohol, they also hijack that. So let's say, I don't care if I die. Or you maybe go as far, like for me, as to, I don't want to live anymore, therefore I'm going to do what it takes to not. And so if you need any evidence that drugs and alcohol are dangerous, they hijack your sense, the most basic needs, or even like, feeding, fighting, fleeing, effing, like, they take all of those away from you. So it's just like if we're looking at the most basic, not even just like I should exercise because it makes me healthier, therefore I live longer, like that's kind of more long-term gratification. But like even the short term of I want to be alive gets removed sometimes, so.
And I want to add to that, and there's something called stacking, right? So I'm a stacker, okay? In the morning, I cold showers.
I do that.
Ready? Listen. This is all the shit I stack on top to get myself hyped when I come in here. And it's all dopamine. Like this dopamine, crazy amounts of dopamine being released, right? Cold shower, light exposure, maybe a little bit of body movement, I get some work done, massive amounts of caffeine, heavy metal music or rap music on my way up here, dude. And that's all like heavy dopamine inducing things. And then I come here and I'm like, let's fucking go! You know what I mean? And then, like, when I leave, I drive home like this. You know what I mean? And I like restore. Yeah, and I like restore myself. But dude, that's all positive stuff. Can that same stacking happen with negative stuff?
Hell yeah.
What are some like negative stacking? You know what I mean?
Run away from it.
Go get high, run away from it, tell myself I'm a piece of shit, like fuck this. That's like stacking negative, depressing stuff that makes it like real, like super sad. It makes it like even more worse than it is, and that's just like a neurological thing that, again, addiction and like these things hijack, right? Holy fuck.
I know for me, when I started throwing pity parties, having to feel this more inventory of myself got easier.
When you stopped?
When I stopped throwing pity parties.
Dude, yeah. How did that help you?
Because you throw a pity party when you find the character flaw, and you say, oh, I can't do it like this or like that, but instead of doing that, to say, I am this way, and just have peace with it, and then try to correct it in your best way that you can.
Yeah, how'd you do that? How'd you come to peace with it?
I just let it, I guess what they say, feel the emotion instead of running away from the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than kind of running away from how it made me feel, I just felt it. And then over time, it was easier to be at peace with it. That's how
And I think that's right. I think what you may see is the relationships are difficult because whatever relationships we have, no matter what it is, because we're avoiding an emotion or an emotional state or connection to whatever that is. And this is where we take an inventory on the relationships that cause these emotions, right? Anybody else have any ideas or questions about what we're talking about so far? Awesome discussion so far. Okay. I think the last question I asked you guys was, to what degree do I consider the feelings of others? Remember that?
100%, but also 0 at the same time.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well this question goes into the comment you just made about the victim idea, right? Have I ever felt like a victim in any of my relationships? This question is focused on uncovering how we set ourselves up to be victims or how too high expectations contributed to our disappointment in people, not on listing instances where we were actually abused. So, have I felt like a victim in any of my relationships?
I think my issue is, I don't know, it's kind of like a halfway thing. Like, I'm so empathic that I try to, like, feel their emotions. So, I don't necessarily feel like the victim because I'm always, like, trying to put them first. But then at the same time, I still end up as the victim. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't feel that way. Like,
Mm.
I always feel bad for them. Like, I'm feeling their emotions and not mine.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think it's more like a gaslighting thing. Anyway, for me, I mean, I was with somebody that was sober and I relapsed, and I was trying to hide it. So it was like more like, you're crazy. Why are you trying to put that on me? Like, I'm not getting high. What the fuck? So I mean, I think that's where that comes from. So.
Well, I'll just throw in that I explained the situation last Thursday about the relationship and a negative relationship that I had, and just lost my train of thought. What was the question?
The question was, have I felt like a victim in any of my relationships?
Oh, yeah.
Describe.
Yeah, and the thing was that it was a codependency, then it was I had done so much that it hurt to try to get away from it. So I mean, I understand. I can kind of understand why you see women that just stay in these relationships because you want to get away from the relationship, but you feel you're like you're the victim. You can't get away from it because you feel bad for yourself and for that person.
Mm-hmm. Has anybody ever been arrested in here or had like problem with cops? Are you a victim in that situation?
Absolutely.
I see a lot of people.
I was innocent, man.
I see a lot of people become
one time,
victims when they get caught.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Doing something. Like all of a sudden they're like, oh, like, bro, what? You know what I mean? It's just, I see that with cops. I see that.
I had one instance and I wasn't the victim in what I did. I knew I fucked up, but the way it was handled, I became a victim because, I wrecked my car. I guess how. But anyways, before seeking medical treatment or anything or asking if I was okay, I was slammed on the ground. And I had my whole front end smashed up, my windshield busted. I'm literally passed out in the car and I wake up to lights and a gun like this and put your hands up.
Damn.
Get slammed out the car. And then I'm literally laying on the ground with his boot on my neck while he's talking to the other cop over here. And it's at that point I became a victim because I never was able to get medical treatment or anything. And in that instance, the first thing you're supposed to do, no matter what has been done, is call an ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
And that never happened. I went to jail with no medical treatment.
Mm-hmm.
I fucked up in what I did. I wasn't a victim for that. But what happened in that instance, I then feel like I became a victim.
Okay. All right. Hey, it's you to determine what is right and wrong. You know what I mean? It's for you to say, well, I should have never broken the law to begin with. And maybe that would have never happened. You know what I mean? Now, whether that's right or wrong, I'm not going to sit here and try to debate police in politics because we're not fucking politicians, dude. It's up to you. Literally, it's up to you to look at your own shit and say, well, fuck, I did drink and drive 4 times. It takes it's up to us to say, maybe if I'm not copping drugs, I won't get arrested for copping drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
there
has to be some association with, like, if I don't break the law, I don't have problems with police, you know?
Yeah.
I know if I can describe like making a feelers more inventory of yourself, it's like a light bulb or a spark just ignites in yourself. You're like, oh, well, I feel stupid a little bit. It's like a eureka moment.
Mm-hmm.
You ever been in an argument with someone or like one of those situations and all of a sudden they like make a valid point? You know what I mean? And then you feel.
But
Yeah.
You gotta be right.
You gotta keep going with it. Yeah, you gotta dig it in. Yeah, I die on that.
I know you're right.
Or I run away. Like, yeah. And I think that to me is called a spiritual awakening. Ah, that was fucking stupid, right? Like, and what happens is that spiritual awakening that you're aiming for at the 12th step is just little ones throughout your whole life until you say, oh my God, I was such an idiot. I can't believe I did that. Yes.
Well, I was thinking, when I was younger, I started getting in trouble when I was pretty young. And, I was getting arrested and my family was mad at me. I was losing relationships. And I always was the victim, right? Like, the cop didn't like me. I had a red car, so he pulled me over.
Yep.
And I think that, like, I'm getting older now and I'm realizing more that, there's other people in my life that are actually the victims of my choices and my decisions, parents, kids and all that. And see, it's really convenient for me to be the victim now, because then I don't have to take a look at my shit, right? I can look at other shit and I could start, well, you did this, so I had to go and get drunk for 2 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I try not to be the victim. I mean, there are times when, when you're working hard and you're trying to get right, and there's some people that are just not your cheerleaders anymore and they still want to fucking dog you out. That'll make me feel like a victim. But those are the people that I need to start kind of cutting off and do this by myself, and not by myself, but not have them around. But my point is that I can easily, I think the older I get, the more I realize is that I'm the cause of my own shit, and I'm not the victim. Everybody else that suffers because of my shit, they're the real victims. And a lot of them will let me know, my life sucks because you fucking relapsed. Well, that's not true, I mean, it sucks. I mean, I hurt your feelings, but like, suck it up, buttercup. Get up, I mean, I try to make amends for when I hurt people, and I try to make immediate, like, okay, I was wrong, and I was out of line, but I'm not the victim. I'm really not.
Yeah.
I'm the product of my own fucking decisions.
I'm
not mad about it. I accept it. I accept that my decisions hurt
people.
people, and I hate that.
Yeah.
For 2 days now, I've been getting, there's somebody that really wants me to know how much I've hurt them. And they're constantly reminding me.
It's always gonna be that one.
And it's one of the most important people in my life, which really sucks. And yesterday, I felt like a victim. Woke up today, I said, I'm not a fucking victim because I'm here doing the shit that I need to do. So I think that's important for me to remind myself.
Responsibility is like inherently required to make change.
Can I say one thing? That is one reason why I'm grateful to be an addict, because you could take the drugs out, that unmanageability was still there. Before I ever got into drug addiction, I was a little fucking shithead. I was going to youth detention centers back to back. I mean, and every single time it was, but mama, they did this, or the cop just, he's profiling, he's just an asshole, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't until I started this process that I had that little light bulb with a lot of different things where I was like, you know what, I'm not a fucking victim of any of that shit.
Mhm.
I caused a lot of that shit.
Yes, and we have caused, like, especially when it comes to our drinking and drugging, we have caused a lot of pain, and we may not be the victims in that regard. There are times where there are situations where people are actual victims, right? Like, without, now keep in mind, I want to just bring up this topic, without undermining those, right? Because there are times where people are really victims, and they, you know, they have to overcome and work through these things. And my thought process on that is, how do people who have overcome it, overcame it? And that's where step 2 comes in. You know what I mean? It's like, I need to come to believe that, yes, I am a victim, but I don't have to be one. You see what I'm saying? Like, I can use my story to help other people. This is where I see people who are victims get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's because maybe there is a time where we were a victim. It's like, well, how do I get out of that victimization? Maybe by using it to help other people, using it to, like, maybe working through it so it's not causing harm to myself or other people. Like, that's where the second step, I need to come to believe that there's some way, some power greater than myself that can restore me to sanity. So I think, yeah, 100%. When it comes to our addiction, it's tough for me to look back and say, I said that same shit, dude, they're always coming after us because we're driving and we're doing this and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yo, we were buying drugs. We were driving around drinking, smoking drugs, dude.
But
it's like the cops were right, you know?
It's a weird thing, though, because you could kind of say, like, you're a victim to the illness of addiction, but you're not a victim to the decisions you made.
Right, right.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're not going to cover sex and abuse, but for some of us that have been victims in those categories, like myself, I would say that I'm getting better at getting through it, but I used my alcohol to keep myself, I mean, I didn't want to deal with those thoughts. I didn't want to, so now I'm having to be sober and process that and process, all of this at the same time, which is fine. I'm grateful to do it. But even things where I thought I had gotten over it, I've realized I hadn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I would like to say that, this, I could be wrong, but I would like to say that is a similar journey in most journeys. You know what I mean? When you're trying to work through anything, whether it's anything like healthy, I guess, that's like the journey. That just is what it is.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. There's going to be moments where we're going to want to give up. There's going to be constant realization and things coming back up.
But at the same time, like, even that, we're like, okay, oh, look, this happened to me then, and, that. Then you start to stay in the victim mentality and use that as an excuse as well. Just like any other, it can be real, but then you make it that it's an excuse just like any other victimization of yourself.
Yep, I agree.
And I think that's where you're going with making a difference with it to get out of that constant victimization, because that could also lead to other things that you victimize yourself for. And I think that just ultimately hurts you, because at one point you really were a victim.
Yeah.
But you don't have to stay there. So making a difference or changing those things can, get you out of that. Yes, you were a victim at one time. Now you are blah, blah, blah.
Okay, we are going to take a break. Great topic, great discussion. When we come back, we're going to talk about some more relationships, mostly with person to person through our past, and we're going to wrap this up. So take a quick break. To it. All right. Going into relationships with people. What have my relationships with neighbors been like?
Terrible. Fuck these guys.
Wow.
Bless their hearts.
Do I notice any patterns appearing that carried through no matter where I lived? What are some patterns with your neighbors that you notice carry through no matter where you live?
I was a fucking fool. I was horrendous.
They were a fool?
No, I was a fucking fool and horrendous and ruined their experience.
They know I'm on drugs.
They know I'm drunk as fuck every night, blacking out, asking them where are my keys when they're in my purse in my room.
Had their son getting questioned by the FBI.
What?
They don't like.
Were you like selling drugs?
Yeah. I'm so thankful.
So they
When I was
seen you
like 18 or 19. Yeah.
right out the crib.
They put a SWAT team member across the street from me, like he lived there. And I swear there was a surveillance camera in the window, but I don't know.
Dude, and you're the victim.
They're fucking watching me for no reason, but I have traffic coming in and out all day.
Yeah, man.
Bro, I had
the oil stains, the grease stains outside, that's a clear indication.
I have my perpy ass neighbor since he had a truck. I had him like take me to this. I was like, bro, just take me to this house, bro. Then we just need to ride back like, real quick. Just park on the street. Did what I did, came back, and then I get my door kicked in the next day. He does too, and his parents are like, what the fuck? And he's like, what the fuck? But he held it down. He held it down.
Wow.
No more
I was
throwing
really
beer cans and
surprised.
wine bottles at their house.
Beer cans and wine bottles. Any other patterns, neighbors?
Yeah, me, my last place I was living at, I've been carried out on a stretcher probably 5 times.
Oh wow.
Damn,
Like
man.
overdoses and health problems. So my neighbors hated me. Hated me.
Anybody else?
They were party boys.
Party with your
Oh
neighbors?
yeah, on the other side. Yeah.
Okay.
I say that, you know, my neighbors, they were super aware, you know, because I was blatant with my, you know, being outside and being drunk or high, you know, and so they were super aware and kind of cringy, you know what I'm saying? Like, this dude lives next door to us. This sucks, you know. After, you know, but now after some years of not living around them, I guess they're like, okay, he's not so bad, you know. That now, you know, because I do a lot of work on their cars now, so yeah. They wanted to have a good relationship, but because I was high and drunk, I couldn't have that good relationship with them because deep down I'm a good person. So, you know, they wanted that person that was sober, but I was never sober.
No one being drunk for the Cooter Brown.
Cooter was my name.
I say Cooter Brown.
But the place where we live in right now.
Cooter plenty.
For like a sober living right now. Our neighbors go outside to smoke weed straight.
Yeah.
No joke.
They be
Just
fucking blowing down.
blow it out.
It's a woman too.
Yeah.
That sucks.
But
My neighbors were alcoholics.
We're talking about the part.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
My neighbors always had a problem with my music.
I say, if they don't like my music, they need to get some fucking earbuds.
Yeah. I used to teach my neighbors. So when I was like in my active using, I was a school teacher. And my neighbors were my students.
Oh shit.
And I didn't give a fuck. I was fucking blowing loud in the back, fucking music blaring. I remember just throwing parties when my parents would go away. And then like coming into school the next day, and I'm just like, "What's up, Chip?" Just like keep on walking, and they're just like, "Holy shit, who is this guy?" And I'm just like, and, dude, I used to let my kids leave school early because I didn't have a car, so I would have to walk home. And nothing is more embarrassing than like walking home with like 5th graders, dude. Like, because we all walk. They're my fucking neighbors, dude. You know what I mean? So like, I gotta like, all right, guys, we gotta leave early because fucking Chip and his younger brother are walking home, but I don't want to walk the same way as these fucking kids, dude. So I'd have to like walk, let my students leave early. I'd be in like a fucking 3-piece suit. and I'd be like walking through the snow, and I would like hit houses and shit on my way home.
But almost every student wants that kind of teacher. You know that, right?
Oh fuck yeah, dude! I was the teacher, dude. Like I for sure I owned that too. I was like, bro.
Wait, you taught
kids?
Hell yeah.
After getting blasted the night before.
Bro, talk about relationships. Dude, lunch money, fucking field trip money, relationships with like the other teachers, all the teachers I'm teaching with were my teachers, dude. So I went and taught at the same schools that I graduated from. So I'm fucking showing back up.
Teacher.
Huh?
Have you ever seen Bad Teacher with Cameron Diaz?
Yeah. I don't like watching that. So I literally watch that, and it's like, that is fucking my literal life.
That was a great movie.
Yeah. Dude, I remember one time dude, it's just a lot. It's a lot, So.
Yeah, we'll focus that on your fourth step.
I mean, it's not, dude. Well, that story that I was just going to say was one time I was getting high in a middle school, and I was fucking, getting high in a middle school, and I had a period in between, and I'm trying to learn the content before class, dude, because I don't know, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to, like, learn the math before class. Dude hits me up. I have to walk like off campus, and there's like where I am is like a high school, a middle school, and an elementary school. So I have to fucking walk so far to meet homie off of school property. You know what I mean? And then when I go back, I get too high. I end up nodding out at the desk in the fucking book, dude.
But you was on some other shit.
Heroin. That's what I was on. Yeah.
In middle school.
When I was teaching, dude. Not when I was in middle. I'm teaching, dude. And I'm passed out on my desk, dude. And like one of the kids like came in to like get something, and I like woke up. Another time I was teaching high school, and we were doing it was judge. What's that? Fucking law class. We were in law class. Huh?
JAG class.
Oh, some law class, like learning criminal justice class,
Law
right?
justice?
Yeah, whatever it is, And I was substituting, and again, it was first period. I had been getting high all morning, so it's like I'm not in any position to be in a fucking school right now, and I'm like, dude, I had to. So imagine me as your teacher, and I'm like, all right, guys, here's your lesson. You're gonna do this. When you're done, just pass them in. It's whatever. When you're finished, you can do whatever you want. If you have like other homework or whatever, just fucking do that. And that's it. And everyone's like, who is this guy? And then I literally went like this, and I fucking turned around, and I put my feet up on the desk, and I sat there like this.
Like, wow, Jimmy, it's what it is.
Yeah, literally. Then, ready? Then the phone rang. Dude, the phone rings. I go like this. I go, oh. I go, everybody chill. I go, everybody chill. Everybody starts laughing. I walk over. I like pick up the phone. I go, mind you, I just graduated like 4 years ago. So I just graduated this school 4 years ago. So I answer the fucking phone. Hello. And she goes, are you sleeping, Jimmy? I go, no. No, I'm not. I'm teaching.
What were their faces?
Bro, I go, I'm teaching. And she goes, I need you to come down to the principal's office immediately. And I was like, okay, word, yeah, no problem. I hung up the phone. I was like, oh my God, dude. Like, I'm getting fucking fired. So, and I'm walking down, and I remember thinking to myself, bro, I'm getting called down to the principal's office as a fucking teacher, dude. Like, am I ever gonna not be called down to the principal's office? And I get down there, my heart is like beating, and she's like, hey, we need you to hand these papers out. Like, there was no homeroom teacher today, so these things never got handed out. So make sure that you hand all these out and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm like, awesome, totally, give me those. And I handed them out.
I can do that.
Yeah. Bro, they never drug tested me. So I never got drug tested. And I remember staying sober for 3 days to fail a drug test. Like, I was excited. Like, I knew I was going to fail. You know what I mean? I stayed sober for like 3 days. And I remember being so sick while I'm feeling like my nose is running. It's the middle of summer. You know what I mean? And they're like, all right, so just come. Well, you know you're gonna get a phone call. When you get the phone call, that's your gig, and you can take it or you can leave it. It's up to you how much you want to work. And I was like, do a drug test or anything? And they're like, no, you're good. You can go ahead. I'm like, oh my! I went and got high. I was like so sick, dude. One other time, so then I get my first teaching job, my first gig, and this is the first teaching job I ever had. I go, not job, like substitute. I go, all right, folks, what's up, everybody? I'm Mr. Eunice. That's it right there. Call me Mr. Y, whatever you want. I actually, in that class, was the younger sister of a friend of mine who walked in on me doing cocaine that weekend before this. So I'm like talking about teaching and this and that, and dude, like, I'm just fucking openly doing cocaine in my friend's fucking house, and she comes in, and I'm like doing cocaine, and she's like, dude, when do you start substituting? I'm like, fucking this week, dude. And I see her when I come in, I'm like, oh my god. Hey, what's up, Amanda? I'm like, just fucking, we're just gonna be in school. That's all we're gonna, you're not gonna go fucking saying what you saw this weekend and shit like that. And I end up going, all right, guys, what's up, Mr. Eunice, Mr. Y? I'm cool. You guys seem cool, so let's have a cool day. All right? I go, you guys got an assignment. It's written right here on the board. Leave them on the desk. Same thing. I always had my spiel when they're done. You can do whatever homework or whatever you want. I'm starving, so I'm going to the caf to get something to eat, and I'll be right back. Everybody sign in, sheet being passed around, sign in. Don't go anywhere. I know all you guys. I know this. And I left. And I went down to the cafeteria. I got a muffin and a hot chocolate because I didn't drink coffee back then. I went all the way out the field house and fucking set my shit down and smoked a cigarette like this. And I remember sitting there like, is this my fucking life, dude? Like, I'm smoking in the same place I used to smoke. You know what I mean? Like, this is insane. And I'm just like, and I went back to class. All the papers were stacked up neatly. And I was like, all right, this is going to be fucking easy as shit.
The kids are probably like going to tell their friends that weren't in that class, bro, you should meet my fucking teacher, dude.
Oh, they fucking saw me,
He
dude.
fucking sleeps. He fucking nods out in class. He's fucking cool.
They saw me around town. I lived in the same town. They saw me. I could not escape. Like, it was insane.
Small town.
Bro. Yeah, it was a small
Where was it?
North Boston town. North Shore of Boston. So it was like,
the phone one.
huh?
The phone story. I really like that.
This is a good
Everybody
example.
chill.
Of
Oh
like,
yeah. Dude.
I had a couple. I didn't have teachers like that, but we had this. I can't remember what the damn company was, but it was a janitorial company. So they did middle schools and high schools in the county, and there was like 3 people I knew that were like janitors, And when I was in 6th grade, there was actually one of them. And, like, he would come to the bathroom and sell us weed and everything in 6th grade. Like,
Yeah.
The janitor, you said?
yeah.
That's
I
crazy.
mean, I knew him before he was a janitor, but it just made it a whole lot easier because I see him every day in school.
Right.
I'd be like, what's up, DJ?
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, high school was fucking crazy. All right. And teaching after was fucking crazy too. Okay, so let's continue. How do I feel about the people with and for whom I worked?
Well,
How have my beliefs and behaviors caused problems for me at work?
Right.
Beliefs and behaviors.
Think the time make it.
I hate these guys, but I gotta get along with them because I'm working with them.
Okay.
Pull $100 off the cash register, get fired, and I'm like, fuck these guys, bro. Mom, they just fucking hate me for no reason.
Uh-huh.
One time I had a homeless man, whenever I was opening the umbrellas for work, tell me he knew I was hungover. And then I went and threw up in a trash can. He said, "You're hungover." I said, this is my fucking life. Like, the homeless man is telling me I'm hungover. Like, the people at work probably know, like...
I see your future.
Yeah, the cooks never cooked me anything ever, but they were like, "Baby, are you okay? We're gonna cook you something. Don't throw up. Don't throw up." And I was like, huh? Like...
Bro, food when I'm hungry.
Oh God, it was so bad.
How else do you feel about the people you work? Did everybody in here?
They were lifesavers.
Did you get high or drunk with the people you worked with?
I got high. I got high in front of them.
When I had just graduated law school and I was in my first job, and I'd come in the morning and I'd get fussed out because I wasn't working enough, I wasn't billing enough hours, all this kind of shit. And then the same partner who would come in and fuss at me about that would come back about 3 o'clock afternoon in my office. We were on top of this hotel building, and there was a bridge over to the parking deck, and there was a bar on that bridge. I had to walk by that bar to physically leave work every day. And we would have to go do what we called a setup with this partner. And that was a rocks glass that was full of tequila and a Corona. And about 4 or 5 of those in, probably 4 days a week at least, you know. And so on the one hand, we were getting chewed out for not working enough, but then if we didn't go drink with the partner, that was frowned upon as well.
And that's a thing that I hear all the time. It's almost like it's a part of the gig. You know what I mean? Some people have jobs where like liquor, alcohol, drugs are just like a part of, you know what I mean? So it's tough to kind of navigate that. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Have you ever been to Skyline Park? It's on top of...
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Ponce?
Yeah, Ponce City Market. There's games, bars at night, so I used to work there as a game attendant. So on my break, I go downstairs. There is a liquor store right in the corner. I walk there, grab a bottle, come back, and like I said, I work at night. Everybody gets drunk down there. I don't like go to the bathroom, drink, come out, wasted. Everybody was like, "What's up, BK? Blah blah blah. How are you doing?" Everybody knows me. I'm like, "Hey, I'm good, and I'm like I'm feeling dizzy, about to throw up, and there are kids throwing the ball, like playing the game, and I'm like, "You want this?" Even though they didn't want anything. You got this. Yeah, it was bad, and I could easily, literally go to the edge and get dizzy and fall down. That was bad, but nobody knew I was drunk. I don't know how. Or they knew. I don't know.
How did your thinking, beliefs, and behaviors cause problems for you at work?
Giving them free stuff.
Why was that what happened? You got like, did you get fired for that?
No, I didn't. I mean, I get the tickets back and I just give them back, and I mean, I don't know. My manager was like, she was chill. She drinks with me, so. Yeah.
I would like. So I worked at the university that I went to, which is a Christian university. And I had a job in like a little small office, but it was the advancement office, so they do all of the fundraising. And so it's like alumni relations, church relations, community relations, like all these different things, and like the fundraisers we would host. And we had golf carts that everybody liked to use. But of course I wanted them because I had like finessed my way into parking in the staff parking lot. And so I had my apartment, so I would keep my liquor, I would bring my liquor in my backpack to put it in my car. So then I'd like come up with an excuse to go drive the golf cart. And I was already like, I had taken a few shots before I even came in. And then I worked for a little bit, and then I would like come up with an excuse to go get the golf cart, or get on the golf cart and like go over to facilities. I'd stop at my car, take a drink, but then like we would have these big events and we'd be like shuttling people on them. And so I'd be like halfway hammered, driving around the golf cart with like these bougie people. Like we would have like different like leadership things, and so we'd have like politicians, and I'd like go on these quests to like figure out who's the most important people and try and be the one driving them. And then I'd end up hammered driving politicians around who were talking about bullshit, or like I'd end up on these like rabbit trail conversations that I didn't really give two shits about, but like I was just entertaining myself while I'm like flying around on the golf cart and like flying over speed bumps and like, oh, like I'll go grab that for you, like whatever, trying to be all things to all people while being hammered, while meeting important people. And yeah, I don't know, it's just a shit show. And then I'd always have to go back in the office and then like try and dodge everybody who like would actually know the difference. And also just always wonder like if people ever were picking up on it or not. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
A lot of anxiety.
always, just like with my neighbors, just like at work. I guess I'm like easy to identify drunk. That you could tell like people could look at me and be like, yeah, something's wrong with that guy today. It's easy, and so I could read it on their faces. Like a little bit of it be paranoia, but some of it be, I can see that you're looking at me because I'm drunk.
And so like I could never tell because it was like more innocent than like your average people, but at the same time like they're real people too. Because it was a Christian community. And then eventually I had my DUI, so that was this whole game of like who knows and who doesn't. Because technically if they knew, they were supposed to report it to my school. And I shouldn't have been able to work there, so they kept their mouths hush hush. But there were certain people that like couldn't know, they'd like flip shit. Or, like me just trying to control information. But like once people knew about the DUI, it felt like the people who did know would assume I was drunk. But nobody ever technically called me out on it. So like
my issue was my place was I worked at Express Oil and Tire. So everybody there was doing like meth or fucking coke, and they were just fucking going ham on the work. And here I am doing heroin. And I just thought it was the funniest thing to just do it right there in front of them. And then I'd be sitting at my little station with the computer, and like, people are coming up. And so I'd always like go to them as fast as possible, write their mileage down, get them to pull up. And as soon as they would pull up, I'd sit there at the computer like I was typing, and I'd just be going out. And they started getting, like, my workers started getting pissed off about it. But then I'm like, I was getting pissed because I'm like, you're doing fucking mad, bro. Like, what the fuck? So then they started like comparing, like, at least I'm not doing fucking heroin, at least I can fucking
meth and heroin addicts don't get along. It's like, oh, you like to be geeked up, oh, you like to
so
be
then I was like, well, you're a fucking tweaker.
Yeah.
I know this is off topic. I just want to give a fun fact about crystal meth. Nazi Germany used to give their soldiers crystal meth during World War II.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say that.
Hitler got his scientists to make it, to keep them up.
I thought that was interesting. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Zombies.
Okay, yeah, so how have my thinking, beliefs, and behavior, it's easy to see the behavior as a problem, right? Like, it's easy to see showing up late or, using or whatever the case may be, but the thinking and beliefs, right? Like that, like, dude, I'm on time, you know what I mean? Like raises, you see people have problems with raises, like yo, you should give me more money, you know? Entitlement.
Yeah.
Mine was for me, I remember working in this industry, you're talking when I first got sober, I was extremely closed-minded to medical assisted treatment. And I go to work in a detox center where everyone's on Suboxone. And I'm like, I have to adjust my thinking and behavior about what I think recovery is in order to like keep a job. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a fucking doctor. And so it's like, I remember having problems at work, like going to doctors being like, motherfucker, dude, look at that dude nodding the fuck out. Like, what are you doing giving this fucking guy these meds? You know what I mean? And I'm having to get pulled into the fucking office, talked to about it, and I'm getting in trouble with it. It's like, this is what I think is right and wrong, and what I think is right and wrong is getting in the way of my fucking paycheck. And it goes back to like, you know, you don't have to fucking like these rules, but you do got to abide to them, or you can get a new fucking job. And I'm like, dude, give him a fucking chance, man.
My thinking and belief system would tell me, you know, hey, if I can come to work, hammer it, and do the job, then what the fuck is the problem?
And some people cap out at that life.
Yeah, if it's not interfering with my work, then why the fuck does it matter?
Some people cap out at that life.
Yeah.
I'll say it again, right? Some people, for them, it's okay to just live a life, getting drunk before going to work every day, collecting a paycheck, and just keeping it going. Yo, for some people, that's life. And they live and die that way, yo. So, I'm not going to tell you what's the right and wrong way to live your life. But I would say that if you're here, that's not the life you want to live.
Oh, I wasn't saying
No,
that.
no, right,
I was
right.
just saying that's how I used to think.
That's how we used to think.
Yeah,
Right.
I didn't mean I still think like that. I was just...
Right.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that like that is not a good way of thinking. We used to think that way, and it's not a good way of thinking because it causes problems at work. And if I have problems like that at work, and I'm unable to like get on board with like the rules and policies at work, am I going to be able to get on board with like rules and policies at home in a relationship with my significant other?
Nope.
If I'm not willing, if I can't even handle the rules at work, am I going to be able to set rules for myself, dude? You know what I'm saying?
That
So
just
it's
made me like completely question everything that went down in that period of time.
Yeah.
Without work, like besides work.
Can't do anything unless you high off of something. You can't talk to nobody unless you're high. Can't talk to a girl unless you're high. It just messes up everything.
Just being deceitful at work, so I'm deceitful in my relationship and everything I'm doing.
Sneaky. Yeah, mine. Yeah, well, that's we can get enough of that. All right, because I want to keep on trying to. These are the cool thing about this part of the fourth step is every question is an inventory. You know what I mean? Like, you could take an inventory on every job you've had, every relationship with every person you've had at work, the outcome of every relationship with the jobs you've had. And then you can even do statistics from that. What's the percentage of jobs that you've been fired from? What's the percentage of jobs that you've used at work? What jobs and what specific thinking and beliefs do you have a problem with when you go through your inventory of all the jobs you've had? And you may be able to identify some patterns that say, whoa, you know, maybe Jimmy every 9 months gets like really entitled and demands more money. You know what I mean? And you may see, like for me when I first got sober, dude, even today, this is the longest job I've ever had in my entire life, and I'm self-employed. Right? Dude, this is the longest job I've had, and I don't have a boss. Why? Because I don't get along with people telling me what to fucking do. I just don't. That's just, I can't, bro. I'm a fucking bird, bro. You gotta let me fly. You gotta let me you gotta let me do my thing, man. Imagine me here 8 hours a day. I would get into so much trouble. Do you have any idea how much trouble I would get if I was here 8 hours a day? It would be insane. I'm able to come here and have fun with you guys and get the fuck out of here because that's what I'm really, really good at, dude. And I can give you everything I'm really, really good at. But if you try to fucking hold me down and do all this shit, dude, I'm not gonna like you. You're not gonna fucking like me. And it's not gonna work, dude. So I've noticed that. So, okay, yes.
I just want to go back to what you was asking about with the coworkers earlier. I was doing construction for a while, and I had a really good boss that helped me check into a detox center back in November, and I was working for him about 2 years. Prior to that, he let me go for seizures. I was doing roofing and all kinds of stuff, construction, and he couldn't have me on a roof, blacking out. He held on to me as long as he could, but he said I probably blacked out 15 times more on the job, and so I was sober. Besides drinking, I wasn't heavy on the drugs so much while I was working with him for the first 2 years. But when I finally was, pretty clear on the seizures, the second time, got back with him. First time, 2 years, I was working with a couple guys, and they were all sober that I knew of. And one guy, Bubba, when I came back, he was there still, and I had just relapsed right when I got the job back on meth. And the first day, I was doing good, at hiding it, so I thought. And he waiting for the boss to leave. I was waiting for him to leave, and then his lunch break, he was like, "I'm gonna go out here and smoke this blunt, and come with me." I was like, "I'm not trying to get into trouble." And he's like, "You're good, you're good. The lady's gone. Boss is gone, just come sit with me." And I was, alright. And I was just sitting in the truck with him. I wasn't smoking with him. I wasn't trying to get in trouble, but I just blurted it out. I was like, man, every time I fuck with that Tina, something crazy ends up happening, You talking about the Tina? You talking about this right here? And he just pulls out a sack. He said, here, get you some. I was already fucking fucked up, And I said, "Yeah, try some of that." And he gave me, about a gram. And so I ate a little bit, and then we banged out the job, the rest of the day. We finished up the installation and all that, getting ready for the tile and all. And then the boss comes back and said, "Damn, y'all finished that shit already?" We just banged it out, boom, boom, boom. And then the next day, stayed up, we finished the job, and then I thought I was doing pretty good, and then I crashed, went to sleep, and then I was late the next day, and I thought I slept it off. I showed up for work, and then he told me where we were, the same place. Come back, and then it's a whole group of different people. I was not expecting that, and the lady was fucking home. And I just fucking wigged out because I was eating it, and I ate the whole, like, half a gram, and it was not a good situation. I was trying to play it off like, guys, I think I'm about to have a seizure. I don't know what the fuck, is going. I don't know what to do. I couldn't even fucking think to work. I knew how to put sheetrock up and all that, but I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I don't know where this is. I don't know where this is in the trailer. And one guy just blurts out, "It's okay, man. I didn't mess since I was 14 years old." And the other guy's talking shit in Spanish. And I just had to, call the boss and tell him, I fucked up. And that's how I ended up checking into detox the second time.
Wow.
He likes to hire people that, he knows need help. Thankfully, he's a really good guy. But all those people that I was working with are, have problems in one way or the other with drugs or alcohol, and it's an experience,
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
The other guy was talking shit in Spanish, and everybody was, the lady was looking at me like I was fucking crazy.
Yeah, I
Very
bet you was.
uncomfortable.
This fucking,
Yeah, I bet, dude.
got this fucking meth head in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Thank you for sharing, though. How do I feel about people I went to school with, both in childhood and currently? Fuck them.
No, I don't feel like that.
Did I feel better than or less than the other students?
That's a good question.
Less than. I always felt I was a better than. I always felt. Did I believe I had to compete for attention from the instructor?
Yes.
I was a fucking nerd.
You were?
I'm a cool nerd though.
Yeah.
You know, I was a jock nerd. I was everything.
Did you respect authority figures or rebel against them?
Rebel. I was a rebel to the full.
Rebel. Have I ever joined any clubs or membership organizations?
Yep.
Yes.
No.
So, and NA is a membership organization.
Does the NAACP count?
Huh?
Yeah.
I was part of NAACP.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. What is it? House party?
NAACP.
He said house party.
NAACP.
National Advancement Association of Colored People.
Oh, yeah. I had no idea. No. Yeah, that counts.
Okay.
Teams. You ever joined a gym? Anybody here joined a gym before?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
PF, baby.
Okay. All right. How do you feel about the other people in the club or organization?
Wondering how they feel about me.
Have I made friends in these organizations? Yeah, me too.
Better work out.
Have I joined clubs with high expectations only to quit in a short time?
Yeah.
NAACP.
What were my expectations and why weren't they fulfilled? What were my expectations and why were they not fulfilled?
Well, for example, let's see. If I want to talk about AA, right?
Yeah, okay.
I joined that. My expectation was to get sober and to help me through my emotions without touching drugs or alcohol. Right, that was my expectation. But shit always happens whether you're drunk or not, or you're sober, you know. So that turns into, oh, I said, fuck this. You know, emotions comes, shit happens. AA doesn't help. Okay, let's say that. It helps. I don't know how to put this, like...
What's interesting from listening to you, it sounds like you're saying I had these expectations on what like AA can do for me, yada yada yada, but then life shows up and you did not have that way life showed up in your expectations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I had everything planned, but I didn't have this planned.
Yeah.
Right?
And I like, fuck it.
And then when that happens, you say fuck it?
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, what is your part in that situation?
Well, my part in that situation was I quit attending AA. I mean, obviously, I was like, okay, this doesn't work. Okay, then I'm just gonna try something else, go drink, or go smoke, or whatever, and see what's gonna happen next.
What about the gym? Do you ever had that happen to you in the past with the gym?
Oh, yeah.
What are your expectations? Why weren't they fulfilled? And what's your part in the situation? Is it a similar pattern?
Yeah, so I go to the gym, my expectation is to gain muscles and to get big.
Yeah.
And other people will see me as, you know, not scared of me, but hey, this guy has his shit together. You know, he works on himself, blah, blah, blah. That was my expectation. But then I turn out to be, I see other people buffed up more than me. I'm like, fuck, I'm this tiny kid, small kid. And then I'm like, okay. And that leads me to, don't go to the gym, kind of thoughts, you know. But I keep going, I keep doing it, no matter what happens.
Has that always been the story, though?
No,
So
not always.
typically, in the past, when that voice comes up,
I keep telling myself like you're not in a race with somebody else, you're in a race with yourself. I keep telling myself that, like, don't compare yourself to the other one, like, compare yourself to yourself.
That's my big thing with two comparison.
Me versus me.
Yeah, me versus me, yeah.
And that goes back into the relationship with yourself, you know what I mean? Like, are you comfortable in that relationship? You know, it requires time, it requires effort, and when you're in that situation, you know, what happens when you leave AA?
Shit.
And what happens when you stop going to the gym?
Oh, shit.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like we got...
last night.
Huh?
We were talking about that last night.
Yeah, and it's like...
Use it or lose it.
Yeah, use it or lose it kind of idea, right? Yeah. Even with any kind of club or membership organization, like you're a member, so you might have some responsibility, and part of being a member means you got to show up at these times, at these whatever, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what it takes. Have I been in a mental hospital or prison or otherwise held against my will?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It sucks.
10, 13.
What effect has that had on my personality?
I told myself I would never fucking go back, and then like 2 months later, I'm back.
What effect does that have on your personality?
Made me more closed off.
Think about that, bro. It made you a little bit more closed off?
To me, it made me almost like jaded more towards life, because I wasn't in the right mental state going in or leaving both times. So it was like, someone's complaining about the weather, I'm like, fuck you, try like being in the psych ward for 2 weeks. Like, that's kind of how I was approaching it wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
A week of jail can really change your whole mind. Like a week, just being there for a week. I wonder if you might be there for 10 years. What it does to them.
I fucking insane.
Go insane?
Yeah, dude.
How's it if you been held against your will?
I've been locked up, dude, and they put me in segregation because I've had all these surgeries. So they won't put me in population, so it's like maximum security 24/7. Dude, it's fucking awful.
What does that do to your... Like, let me ask you this.
It drives you crazy.
Were you a different person before you went in there versus going in there?
Yeah.
What was the change that happened as a result of that?
Oh, it's hard. It affected me, like, socially, for one, like, talking to people, because I'm not used to being around people. And just, I don't know, like, it gave me PTSD in a way.
Well, I
did 3 months in there, and I was to the point that they won't let you come out once every 4 or 5 days for a shower. And you're there by yourself. They won't let you out to the phone or nothing. And it's like, I don't know, it's like to the point you're not alone in there anymore, if that makes sense. I thought I was going to be like schizophrenic when I got out. But luckily I went back to normal. But
when you go back into the community, is socializing different?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's difficult. It's like a weird, like...
Yeah.
You're like, how do I do this?
Yeah, you're like institutionalized in a way. Like, and I know 3 months isn't shit, but I mean, it is when you're by yourself and in one room and you're not in population where you can watch TV or use the phone all day or whatever. Like, it sucks.
It affects your personality, yeah.
From the age of 13 to 15, I went to YDC probably 6 times. And then 16 and now, we went to county 3 times. And it definitely fucked with me. Trust issues, bad trust issues. Because, I mean, it was to the point where, like, you know, I mean, you get close with people in there, but then shit happens.
You turn around and rob you.
Exactly, or you get hit with a fucking lock in the sock. Some shit, like anything like that. So it's like when you get out and you're like with family or friends, it's like you're
always looking over your shoulder, like,
I have trust issues because of stuff like that. Cause I'll be with somebody when I used to do drugs. Well, when I was doing drugs on the street, same people you smoking with, they'll turn around and rob you.
I've been in jail 9 times, and I fucking, I don't know, dude. When they see my scars, they're like, what's that? I wish I wouldn't have told them, dude. I fucked up. And once I told them that, they put me in seg. I was like, holy shit.
What are they from?
I've wrecked 4-wheelers, trucks, like all kind of shit. I've got plates in both forearms, shoulder, leg. So like once I told them that, they're like, oh, you're a liability. We can't put you back there because if you get hurt, then you can sue us. And I'm like, man, I don't give a fuck. I'll get beat up. Just put me in the back. Like, it's way better than being up there by myself.
That sucks because it wasn't even like bad behavior.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I didn't even do nothing violent, but like they gave me maximum security, and it's federal law to let you out 1 hour a day, but they weren't doing that shit. It's a little small town corrupt as fuck. Like, who can prove that they're not doing that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like.
And I got to go to the yard only 3 times the whole 3 months I was in there, dude. And the dude told me it was raining one day, and I spoke to my mom later that week, and she was like, it was not raining that day. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. He wouldn't even let me go outside, like just being a dick.
YDC was almost worse than county for me because it's like that, except you'll have 8-man cells, and it's literally like you got these bunks. It's like, okay, so you got a 4 bunk right here, 4 bunk right here, 4 bunk right here, and like, I don't know, like you're in there with 8 people and that's it, and like you get out maybe an hour, but for the rest of the time you're in there with 8 whole people. Like it's not like
a half a person
county when you're like maybe with another person. Like it's literally 8 people, and then you got like the walls don't even go all the way up to the ceiling, and people are on the other side and on the other side, and like people are climbing over and shit like that. It was bad.
What are when you're in that situation, and this goes for everybody, when you're locked up or you're held against your will, what are your interactions with the authorities like?
Oh, I hate them.
Terrible.
They treat you like
They
treated us like animals.
They treat you less than human. Like they treat you like you're a pile of shit. Like,
they'll sit there and mock you. Like
they wouldn't even give me food some days.
They bring out
they wouldn't even give me a tray some days.
They treat you like animals.
I feel like that's a trick question too, because it makes me think about that relationship thing. Do I feel like they're above me because they're doing something to me for real, or is it because this is where I put myself? Now you got me thinking now.
That's what I want you to do, because dude, that guy, I know COs and shit like that, bro.
Most of them power trip hard as fuck.
Some of them do, dude. Some of them are just trying to. I mean, dude, they had the same opportunities we had. They just decided to go to college for criminal justice and fill out some application and work at some place just like they could work at Walmart. Instead, they work in a fucking jail cell.
I feel like they hate their life and they try to make you.
Hey, bro, it's got to be tough to be a CO. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
I know someone who's a CO. This dude has been. Yeah, dude, it's tough, man.
Most of the women, though, they're like very like momish and nurturing in there. But it's like I'd say probably 75 to 80% of the men COs are like.
The women treated me like shit.
The women were the ones who treated me like shit.
It's terrible.
Like when I went to detox, I was so ready to go to rehab because I was like, I had these experiences where I was treated like I was, just some mental case or whatever, and like, oh, she's got these, like, everyone is crazy is how they approach you, and every move is monitored. Like, you're allowed to walk down this hallway. Oh, but then the next person says, oh no, you can't. Who told you that? Back in your room. Like, it's, there's like arbitrary rules based on their mood, and requesting, like, can I go to the bathroom? Maybe. Like, stuff like that. And you're just like, I have these basic functional needs, like,
That 13th Amendment.
So when I went to detox, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually a person, like, in an institution.
Yeah. They would do runarounds to check the damn cells and make sure they're all locked, because you could pop a fucking lock with a toothbrush or a plastic comb. One of the guards was like, all right, I'm going home. Y'all ain't.
I mean,
yeah, like mocking you and shit.
How fucked up is it?
Yeah,
I
get it because
How hard do you empower it? I mean,
I get it
what's wrong
because
with you?
people fuck with them all day. Like, you gotta think, like, people in there be bullying their ass, like, but the ones that's nice to them, they take it out on everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, you give them respect, they still treat you like shit because the other people that treat them like shit. So.
Right. Did I, when we're in these situations, did we follow the rules?
Yes.
Fuck no.
The first day someone told me the best way to get out of here is just keep your mouth shut and do exactly what they tell you to do. And that's what I did.
Well,
I got even worse.
I follow the rules compared to people selling fentanyl in jail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why you? I mean, that's to me that's silly to be in jail and you're selling fentanyl.
Did I ever break the rules
How
and
else
then
did
resent?
you make money, though?
Did I ever break the rules and then resent the authorities when I got caught?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you fucking arrest me? You piece of shit.
How dare you turn on your fucking lights? And
Do you
come
know
up
what
behind
this is gonna do to me? That's what I said when I was getting fucking arrested. I actually didn't say anything. I kept my fucking mouth shut. I fucking, cause that cop. I told you guys that, right?
Yeah.
I fucking crumbled up a fucking seatbelt ticket, threw in the back out a bench warrant, and I was ready to just say, "Do you know who the fuck I am?" and all this shit. And I was like, you know what, bro? He don't give a fuck who I am. He don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
He's doing his job. You know what I mean? He's literally the same way anybody else shows up and punches in and just does their job with policies and procedures. This guy is doing it, and there is nothing I can fucking say or do or anything that's gonna...
That's what I had to finally accept. Like, they're doing their job, and it's a game. Like, if you're gonna do that shit, that's what comes with it. Like, they're gonna do what they do. You're gonna do what you do. Sell drugs, do drugs, whatever. If they catch you, that's part of it.
Like, would you get mad at me if we're playing fucking basketball and I fucking juke the shit out of you?
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a game.
Yeah.
It's fair play. That's what I'm allowed to do. And you're the one who's not good enough to play fucking basketball. And it's like, yo, if you want to use drugs and do this behavior, you're the one who's not good enough at not being caught.
I remember my last time going to jail, I got put in cuffs, and the cop, I was being a dickhead from the start, and he goes, all right, where do you live? And I was like, my house. He's like, well, where's your house? I said, shit, man, I live where I live.
Oh God.
That shit made it so much worse.
Next to my neighbor's house.
Bro, I started doing shit like that. Then finally he had to ask. It wasn't even my mom. It was like my homeboy's mom. Like, where does he live? And she was like, she started playing along. Like, I really don't know, sir. Like, blah blah blah. He puts me in the car. He starts trying to figure everything out. He figures it out on his own, and that just made it 10 times worse.
Yeah,
He
making
was
him
being a
go
fucking
through all the
asshole.
effort.
But then when he started being an asshole, I was like, in my head, I was like, this fucking dick, bro. He's such a fucking asshole. But I started it.
But I started it. Alright, we are going to take one more quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to jet through these to try to get them out the best we can.
How long is the break?
Have I ever did early experiences with trust and intimacy hurt me and cause me to withdraw?
Yes.
Describe. Did early experiences with trust and intimacy cause me to withdraw and hurt me? So are these early experiences with trust and intimacy good ones?
Right.
Trigger for me, I'm better at it now. When I felt misunderstood, that was a trigger for me to go smoke. That was a big trigger.
Yeah, I get angry when people don't understand.
I just go, I'm gonna go have a blunt.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
want me to share one?
Yeah, do you want to? Yeah.
What was the question?
Early experiences with trust and intimacy hurt me and caused me to withdraw.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's kind of deep, but like trusting my parents and my parents letting me down. You know, like those are the two people that are not supposed to turn their back on you or like, you know, prove you wrong. And so I guess that.
And that brings up a good point that I meant to say earlier, which was there's no, like some of these beliefs and relationships with concepts and relationships with people and whether and our morals around those relationships may be on a foundation of my parents' beliefs. So-and-so was talking about how his personality changed as a result of being in jail. There's no saying how that change in his personality is going to affect other people. Maybe the kids that we decide to have. So maybe early experiences with trust and intimacy. Now check this out. This is going to be even fucking crazier. Not only does it impact like your brain, but maybe it impacts your actual physiological being. Like someone who is scared more often may hormonally, genetically change, and then they have kids who adopt those genetics and those hormones, and they are more genetically predisposed to being scared and having a low tolerance towards fear-inducing things, towards things that are trying to more trusting situations, more intimate situations. People may be literally genetically predisposed to not want to be in those situations. And they're powerless over that. That's just how they were born. And we are the ones that have to say, regardless of how I got it, I got it. Don't matter how I got it, don't matter if I'm a victim or whatever. I got it, and I gotta fucking change it if I want to be on board with the rest of fucking society. That's the way to kind of like take it, you know? In my opinion, I'm not always fucking right. You know what I mean? But if I see people going towards trust and intimacy and those character defects with courage and bravery and willing to like fix it, yielding better results than the opposite. Have I ever let a relationship go even when the potential existed to resolve conflicts and work through problems?
Hell yeah.
No.
Why?
Afraid of confrontation or argument.
Afraid of confrontation and argument, so it's easier to just like
let it go
than to like learn how to communicate without arguing.
I've done it.
Right?
I'd rather run away than fight.
Or like, is it also like, so for me, you can be my counselor now. So for me, right, I had that situation where I left the relationship because I was using and couldn't like fix the relationship. Do you think like I forget where I was going.
I'll give you an example. So when I was using, I'd go to home drunk, whatever. My dad was like, "Hey, are you okay? Your left side is dripping." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just tired." And he's like, "Can we talk about something?" I'm like, "Yeah, just give me 1 second. My friends never called me or text me. My friends, he wants to meet, so I'll see you in a bit."
And then, go ahead.
I'll say a fear of taking responsibility, wanting to. That can be it sometimes. It's easier to point the finger, but if you look back, like for me, I've reflected on all my relationships, and I've said this before, I ended them because they got in the way of my drinking, not the other way around. You know?
Samesies. Did I become a different person depending on who I was around?
Yes.
Is that a bad thing?
That is, I feel like it is.
Not at all times.
Not at all times.
So when I'm around sober people, I want to be sober. But if I'm around people constantly using around me, I'm going to use.
Are you the same person here than you are with your grandma?
No.
You know what I mean? Think about that though, right?
Yeah.
It's like, here I am talking like this. If I were to be around my grandma, I'd be like, "Hey, Nana. Hey, what's up? Good to see you."
I can't be like, "Yeah, what up, bitch?"
I don't know.
I'm very close to my
I'm not as crazy, but I'm still like me.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I'm not like, oh my god, hey Grammy, like.
What are you like?
I'm like hello Grammy.
There you go.
How you doing?
Hey, Graham. Good to see you. Is it bad to be the same person around everyone?
Sometimes not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's good to be
Yeah.
diverse.
Own
I
your
wouldn't say
shit,
it's
know your
bad,
shit.
but it's
Depending on-
good to be diverse.
I guess I'm
Usually
supposed
it's a balance, and also it depends on what your motivation is for being a different person. It's not, you know, like some people are chameleons because they have a sense, a low self-esteem and feel like they have to
don't know
fit
who
in, so
they
they have to be
are.
like that person. And other people, you know, you change out of respect. Like if you're professional, like for example, if I'm walking into a room with a client, I'm not gonna drop F-bombs and things, but that's not because I don't want them to like me more, it's just more professional. So there's different, it depends on the motivation, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't necessarily think that you speak to your grandmother differently than you speak to your boss. It means that those are different. I don't know.
The
To me, it's
dynamic-
more sides to the same person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the question assumes that there's just a singular personality, which is not. I don't think that's the case.
Facts.
I agree.
Oh.
I agree.
I couldn't remember my grandma.
Me
Okay.
too.
Same.
Me too.
I know someone, and I guess this isn't, I'm not actually referring to me. I know someone that is very much a fuck it, I am the person I am. And they have the same attitude at work, with family, with their relationships. I'm not saying this person doesn't need help, but it's a very disturbing thing to watch. Somebody just be absolutely just like they feel entitled to be the person they are, and they don't really give a fuck about any kind of circumstances.
And I
The
think,
level of respect is just, they have none, but they demand all the respect in the world. It's with these crazy, it's just like,
and they have the freedom to be like that.
they do.
And I have the freedom to choose whether or not I
I
want
wanna
that
be-
type of person around me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so for some people, they swear around their grandma, right? For me, if I was like sitting there with my grandma and my sister says like, yeah, grandma, we're just gonna fuck around for a little while. I'd be like, dude. I would be like, yo, the fuck, dude? Don't talk like that in front of Nana. You know what I mean? Like, so maybe it is good to have different personalities, but it's the ability to maybe make right decisions on like, which personality should I have right now? Should I be this person who like should I be who I am or should I not be who I am?
Yeah.
And I think that is like something that everybody has to have. Like you need a lot of shit in order to freely be you in all situations everywhere. And even then, you're looking at problems. You see what I'm saying? Like even with all the freedom to do that, you're still not picking and choosing the right time and place to like be this, engage in this type of like thinking and behavior.
I mean,
you know?
is that having a good relationship with yourself? Then you have
For sure. I think that's like knowing circumstances, awareness of my surroundings, awareness of other people, awareness of how my own thinking and behavior impacts other people. And all of that is on the foundation and motivated on to like better the world. You see what I mean? It's on a foundation of like, well, I don't want to hurt anyone, you know? So it's a lot different than sticking to it on like, well, this is who I am. You can't fucking tell me nothing. Like, the moral ground that decision is standing on is not a healthy one, is not a true one, is not a productive idea, you know? So there are times and places like how I talk to a cop. And my personality around a cop may be a lot different than how I'm talking right now. You see what I'm saying? And there's good reasons. What drugs does is it removes my ability to control my personality. I cannot be the person you need me to be, that you expect me to be. You want me to be this character, and I'm unable to fulfill that as a result of my drug usage, my alcohol usage.
And that's why some people do drink and do use drugs, because it does alter that. It
gives them
right.
that ability.
Yeah.
Right.
That was me.
So then their character is dependent upon being in this state. So when they're not in the state that connects them to the idea, they can't attain the idea. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's unreachable without said vessel getting me there. And when you remove the vessel, you see, holy fuck, to actually get to that person, I have to do a lot of work. Like, that's going to require a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and I'm the one who's going to have to do it. And it's worth it. Morally, that is worth it versus the alternative of not doing it. Continuing down this path of unconsciously causing harm to other people because I don't want to change. I don't want to think like that. I don't want to make those choices.
What about when it comes to like medications? Like that's the same thing, right? For example, I'm on Prozac, not Prozac, but one of them. That's when I'm off of it. I try to deal with my emotions without it, and it's hard. Like I know that's not the same thing with alcohol and drugs, but how does that come up like with medication?
In my opinion, this is just me, my beliefs. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. Those medications are the vessel to get me to that. And it's a good vessel because your brain may not have the hormones or the chemicals that you're trying to create, so you're using it, but you also eventually want to like get off of it. So what you need to do is like build a foundation that you can stand on so that when you remove it, you're not collapsing. You see what I'm saying? You're not like falling back into this.
So it's like slowly.
Yeah. So think about like a taper almost. You know what I mean? As you're tapering down, you're building yourself up so that when you do ultimately get off of said medication, it's not this big, heavy event that you gotta go
have
through.
like something to cope around. Okay.
And I would argue that type of like exposure to this is relevant in any other relationship. Like putting a little bit of time and effort into being where you want to be in a relationship with yourself, in a relationship with somebody else, in a marriage, in a job. You know what I mean? Like setting yourself up so you're not so reliant on other people or things. I think is a great option, great path to go down, as long as it's on the foundation of things that are good for you.
Gotcha.
Now, medication, it's like if you're unable to not be the person you need to be as a result of physical or mental health, that's not fair. You know what I mean? That's not fucking fair, dude. Like, so there's so many resources in the community to give you a fair advantage to be where you want to be. You know what I'm saying? And like the whole society is set up to support us to do that because society wants us to be productive, healthy members of society, like with a job and, you know, paying taxes and stuff like that. Like that's what society wants, so.
And I think kind of going back to what Rashad said about your brain, you know, that 6 months to a year. I mean, I would think anyone, again, my opinion, that if you're on a medication, a Prozac, a Zoloft for me, I wouldn't even look at trying to get off of it for another year. Just because I need to give myself time. I need to give, like you were saying, time. Give my brain time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on other medications. I may never be able to get off my blood pressure medication. I mean, yeah, maybe with exercise, quitting smoking, I might. But I also have family history, so...
And the only thing for us to know if it's working for you without you telling me it's working is the behaviors.
Right.
Like there's no fucking way for me to know how much serotonin you got. You know what I mean? Like, if it's growing, if it's getting better, or anything like that. The only thing I can tell is, like, are you taking care of yourself? Are you, like, exercise? Are you doing these things that, like, a healthy person might do? You know? Or you're telling me. And if you're telling me one thing and the behavior's not lining up, then that's another indication, you know? So communication, language is, like, huge. One of the only things we have to really measure, like, mental stability and shit like that. Have I discovered things about my personality, perhaps in previous inventories? I know a lot of people bringing up, like, I used to be like this or whatever. Have I discovered things about my personality that I didn't like and then found myself overcompensating for that behavior?
I mean, if you've started your step 4, of course you found some things that you didn't like, and, you know, as far as compensating or overcompensating for them, you know, I just think the process leads you down the road where you don't, you know, you're humble, you feel humility, and you don't overcompensate with if you're working the steps the way they're supposed to be worked.
I agree. I used to be so arrogant to hide how much I fucking hated myself. So my personality was like, what's up, I'm Jimmy, I'm the fucking man, blah, 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 this, that, fucking yada, 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 just because, like, I didn't believe those things. Like, I thought that, like, in order for me to have those things, this is, like, the path of doing it. And it's not. And that was a learned path, by the way. Like, that was me seeing someone do that who had everything and saying, that's what I need to do, and if I do that, I'll get everything. And, like, I remember seeing this kid in college and being like, you're such a dick. How do people fucking like you so much, dude? Because you're fucking good looking, because you're in shape. Like, he was all these things. And I remember being to myself, I can fucking do that. Like, I can be all that. And it worked. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. It fucking worked and left me kind of hollow. I guess you could say that word. It's a good way to describe it. What defects are most often at play in my relationships? Dishonesty, selfishness, control, manipulation, etc. What defects are most often at play in my relationships?
Lord have mercy. I don't know where to start.
Manipulation to get what I want.
I guess mine is dishonesty.
More for control.
Yeah, mine's a control thing.
That too, mine's control.
And a defect is a shortcoming, a lack, or an imperfection. So if you have this defect in your character, it could be like a fault or failure to meet certain standards. 1, shortcoming. 2, it could be a lack. So you just don't have this characteristic and you have to have it. Like, you're not funny. You need to be funny. You know what I mean? You're not compassionate. You are not empathetic. I need you to have that. That's a lack or an imperfection. Bro, you're already kicking ass. You're already doing amazing. There's just this one area of your life that is not as good as it could be. That's the best place to be in, I think, when it comes to character defects. Like, the lack, to me, is the scariest one. Because I don't even know where to begin when someone's like, you need to be happy. It's like, what? How the fuck? You think I don't want to be happy? You know what I mean? How can I change my behavior so I can begin having healthy relationships?
I mean, I'm like, one of my defects is that I'm naturally lazy, and so I overcompensate that way by doing way too much and not getting my rest. So.
Good job. You see what we're hearing now? Maybe some future problems. Maybe some patterns that are not drug related that could potentially happen in the future. You see what I'm saying? Burning myself out, working too hard. spending too much time not doing things, like going lazy hard. You know what I mean? I exercise. That's like me with exercise. I go hard when I exercise, and sometimes I don't have energy for other areas of my life, and that causes problems for me.
For me, it's like stop trying to be somebody else and just be yourself.
Oh, that is beautiful, huh? Anybody in here struggle with that? Like being yourself?
Not so much anymore.
I used to. Not so much
I still
anymore.
struggle with it sometimes.
Yeah. It's fucking tough, dude.
It's like being vulnerable too, and like actually taking into account what people have to say about you and start from the root.
Still trying to find out who the fuck I am.
That's another scary part of that journey, is like trying to, like, going through being who I am and learning, like, fuck, that's who I am? I don't even like that. You know what I mean? And like having to change that. That's scary, bro. Anybody have a relationship with a higher power?
I used to.
How has your relationship with your higher power changed over your lifetime?
Mine has gotten stronger, I say.
It's gotten worse.
Hmm?
I used to be super involved with church, and now I'm not. So.
It's done both for me. Like, it's been up at some points, and sometimes it's been down. Right now it's down.
It's been up and down. And up and down.
When shit happens, how could you let this shit happen? When nice things happen, thank you.
Imagine that relationship with any real person. Imagine a relationship with like the most powerful person, like dude, you want $1 million? Do you want to be healthy? You want your family back? Like, what do you want, bro? I just need you to fucking want to have a relationship with me. And we're like, dude, I'm here because of you. Like, yeah, dude, you're not happy? I've been here the whole time. Talk about the almighty, higher power, God, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to pick and choose this relationship? My relationship with a higher power was like, it was good, confusing. I don't know what this is. Religion. What the fuck? I have to like read a book, you know what I mean? And then it was like painful, like I was being smited, like he was just coming at me, would not be relentless. And then it was like, now it's like I have that relationship. And what a beautiful relationship it is. You just can't understand how amazing having a relationship with, like, I like to think of it as just like a positive future. Like having a relationship with like everything's okay right now, everything's gonna be okay. It's never not been okay. You know what I mean? It's like having a relationship with like just these powerful ideas, because there is no God. It's not like having a relationship with God. But how do I get close to God? How do I get close to that higher power? You know, from putting time into the relationship, putting effort into the relationship. And I'll tell you what, nothing feels better than building a contract with your higher power. That was my first like relationship I had. I was like, listen here, motherfucker. I'm gonna do it.
If you do it, I'll do it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna do it, God. I am going to do it. I don't believe you're gonna do your part. I was like, so you gotta come through and do your part. I'll do my part. And then it happens, and he comes through tenfold. It's like, yo, why isn't anybody else doing this? How come no one else is using this like method of like getting whatever you need? It's because they don't have a relationship with it. They don't understand how their relationship with that idea works, that higher power works, what brings them closer to it, how much effort they have to put into it, how much time they have to put into it. Have I had any, what kind of relationship do you have with your higher power right now?
Working
I'm
on
good.
it.
Connected, good.
Working on it.
Working on it.
Best friend.
I'm a
Best
needy
friends.
infant.
What is it?
I'm a needy infant.
Needy
That's a good
infant.
way to come from.
I'd say I need to be more in tap, but I'm definitely connected.
Okay.
Sarah Grace said shake head.
Shaky? Is that what you said?
No,
It's good.
you said,
Oh,
what's
good.
your relationship with your higher power? And she goes,
Yes.
like it's a yes or no question.
Yeah.
Yes. Correct.
Okay, folks. That concludes relationships. It does not conclude step 4.
Oh.
It only concludes relationship. We've been talking about this for 9 hours. Just so you know, 3 classes we've been talking about this, 9 hours consistently. Like if you were to take all that time, which is available on YouTube, if anybody's like, hey, you know, I wish I fucking remember what we were talking about in that class, it's on YouTube if you ever want to hear it. When I come back on Thursday, we're going to move into secrets and assets. Okay, so we're going to talk about the things that we never were going to talk about ever, and we're also going to talk about some assets, some things in our life that give me more value, that enhance my value. Those are called assets. They're the good qualities about you. There's character defects and character assets. So before we talk about the defect, we're going to talk about the assets. So have a great couple days, and I will see you guys on Thursday.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you, dude. Hell yeah. Thanks, guys.